Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi shir.
Shalom and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi. Brachos Daf Mem Daled. Says the Mishnah, Heviu lefanav maliach v'tchila. They served him a salty item first, upas imoy, and together with that they served him bread. Says the Mishnah, Mevorech ala maliach. He makes a bracha on the maliach, on the salty item, and by doing so, upaiter hapas, he exempts the bread from a bracha. Why? Sha'apas tfeilaloi, because the bread is a tafel. It is subordinate. It is secondary to the maliach, to the salty item. And as we know, zakla, this is the general rule. Kol shu ikar v'imay tfeila. Whenever you have a primary item, a primary food, which is the ikar, and together with it, v'imay tfeila, comes something that is secondary, that is subordinate. Mevarech ala ikar. He makes a bracha on the primary food, and by doing so, upaiter es hatfeila, he exempts the tafel. No bracha is required on the tafel. It is included, is covered by the bracha on the primary food. Ask Taisvis, haven't we already learned this halacha in an earlier Mishnah? What is the chiddush of the Mishnah? What is the Mishnah coming to teach us? Says Taisvis, the Mishnah is coming to add a chiddush that even bread, which is so chashuv, so significant, a staple of one's meal, nevertheless, the concept of tafel can be applied to bread as well, and it too can be exempt if it is considered to be a tafel of a different item. Says the Gemara, how can this be that bread is a tafel, is considered to be a secondary item? Umi ikar midi, can that be so to have a maliach ikar, that the salty item should be considered the primary food, upas tfeila, and the bread should be secondary? Isn't bread, it comes to satisfy one's hunger, it's a staple of one's meal? How can that be that pas's meal considered to be a tafel? Says the Gemara, you're right. Ordinarily, in the conventional circumstance, certainly bread is considered to be the ikar. But here it's different. Amar Acha Breda Avira Amar Vashi. We're speaking about a unique situation. The Mishnah is discussing a case where one has eaten the peiros ginoisa, the fruit, the juicy, fatty, exceptionally sweet fruit that grow in the Lake Kinneret region, around the Yam Kinneres. And the fruit there is exceptionally sweet and requires to be supplemented with salt, with something salty, so that the sweetness doesn't affect his heart, as Taisa says, it weakens the heart. So one is to supplement his eating of pears ginoisar with a supplement of salt. And in order that the excessive salt shouldn't harm him, he goes ahead and adds some bread. So it comes out that the bread is really a tafel. It is really secondary to all the other items, to the salty item and to the peres ginoisar, and therefore it doesn't require any bracha on its own. Gemara Megillah says, why is it called Yam Kinneres? Because its fruit, the fruit that grows in that area, are sweet, like the sweet sounds of a kinnor, of a harp. Okay, so that's the pshat in the Mishnah. We're speaking about a person who ate those peres ginoisar, which are exceptionally sweet. He needs to supplement it with something salty. In order that this salty item shouldn't harm him, he supplements that with some bread. And therefore, the bread is considered to be a tafel of the salty item, and therefore the Mishnah tells us that he makes a bracha on the maliach, which is considered to be the ikar, and by doing so, he exempts the bread. Ask Taisus Akasha, why does he need to make a bracha on the maliach? If we're discussing one who is eating peres ginoisar, that is the ikar. That's considered to be the primary food. As Rashi explains, that the peres ginoisar are chashuvim min hapas. They're even more significant, they're more chashuv. They're of higher value than the bread. So ask Taisus, why can't he simply make a bracha on the peres ginoisar and pater exempt everything else? Why does the Mishnah say that he makes a bracha mevarach ala maliach upaiter hapas? Because the pas is tefillah to the maliach. Let him simply make a bracha on the peres, which they are the true ikar, and exempt everything else. As Tais was speaking about, that he didn't have a mind to eat the salty thing on the bread, or he changed his location, he ate the peres in one location, and he continued over in a different location. Since it was a shini makayim, it requires a new bracha on the new item, which is the maliach. But since he makes a bracha on the maliach, and the bread is merely coming to supplement the salty items, so to prevent it from harming him, so certainly the bread doesn't require its own bracha. Now it's pretty clear from Tosfos, it would seem from Tosfos Teretz, that whenever we have an ikar and a tafel, the tafel item also really requires a bracha, but it's merely covered by the bracha on the primary item. It's not that the tafel doesn't require any bracha whatsoever. Only the ikar requires a bracha, but the secondary item doesn't require a bracha. If that would be the case, then how can Tosfos say that when he made a bracha on the peiros in one location, but then he went over and he uprooted himself and he carried over to a different location to eat the maliach, the pas, which are items that are tafel to the peiros. But since he changed his location, that requires a bracha. If a tafel never needs a bracha, in this case as well it should need a bracha, because the maliach and the pas are still being eaten as a result of the peiros. They're subordinate, secondary to the peiros. They're still tafel to the peiros, even though they're eaten in a different location. So why do they require bracha? Why does he need to make a bracha on the maliach? Since it's merely a tafel of the peiros. So apparently it's obvious from Tosfos that Tosfos learns that a tafel technically, theoretically requires a bracha. However, when a person makes a bracha on the ikar, this covers the tafel. Meaning that even if the ikar and the tafel require two different types of brachas, one's a fruit, one's a vegetable, nevertheless, the tafel becomes attached, becomes subordinate to the ikar, and therefore the bracha made on the ikar applies to the tafel as well, regardless of what bracha the tafel would theoretically require. It gets the same bracha, it gets the same status. It's put on the same plane as the ikar. And by making bracha on the ikar, whatever the ikar requires, that bracha applies to the tafel as well. Therefore, we understand Tosfos very well. When a person changes locations, in this case, even though he's still eating the maliach as a tafel, nevertheless, a tafel always requires a bracha. But generally speaking, all over, it's included in the ikar. In this case, it can't be included since he changed places. He made a shini makim. He made the bracha on the ikar in one location, and the bracha on the tafel in a different location. So therefore, he needs to make a separate bracha, even on the tafel, which in this case is the maliach. But by making a bracha on the maliach, certainly he exempts the pas, because the pas and the maliach are being eaten in the same location. So, to summarize, it would seem from Tosfos that an ikar requires a bracha and a tafel requires a bracha. But the bracha on the ikar exempts the tafel from its own separate independent bracha. Asks the Avnei Nezer, if so, how do we understand Allah in the Mishnah? How can we say that the bracha on the maliach, on the salty item, exempts the bracha on the bread? And we know that bread requires a brachas hamazon, which is a mitzvah d'oraisa, a bracha d'oraisa. However, the brachas recited on ordinary foods is merely midrabanan. It is learned from the svara. It's a logic. How could one partake from physical worldly pleasures without making a bracha? It's a svara. How could a person asloi lahanos min olam b'lei bracha? As we learned in the beginning of the parak. That's merely midrabanan. So how can we say that the bracha on the maliach, which will be a shahakol with a bar nefashos, how could that exempt the bracha on the bread, which is a brachas hamazon midaraisa? If you would say that a tafel doesn't need a bracha, never needed a bracha to begin with, so okay, here as well it doesn't need a bracha. But if you maintain that in theory a tafel requires a bracha, but it is included in the bracha on the ikar, how can you include a brachas hamazon, which is a chiyuv min haTorah? How could that be included and covered by a burden of fashas that's recited on the maliach, which is merely d'Rabbanan? So the first should give an answer that although we hold that a ikar requires a bracha, but what type of bracha does it need? We know that the brachos midrabanan are derived from the svara that a person, before he partakes in worldly pleasures, he should make a bracha. That's a general bracha on general pleasures. There's another point that one must recite a specific bracha on each specific species, ha'etz, on a eitz, bar priyadam, on a vegetable, etc. And regarding bread, that requires a specific unique bracha, brachas hamazon. Say the Mefarshim, this is only on ordinary items which are considered to be ikar. items that are primary foods, but a tafel, a food that is merely a tafel. In this case, the bracha on the tafel is merely the general bracha, thanking Hashem on account of the general physical pleasure derived from the tafel. Why? Because the tafel is not being eaten on account of its own uniqueness, of its own identity. It's a subordinate. It's tafel. It's attached to the ikar. It's merely supplementing the achila of the primary food. In this case, the chiyuv bracha on the tafel is not on account of its individuality, but merely just a general bracha, a blessing to Hashem on account of the general pleasure that this tafel is providing. In this case, all will agree that even if there's a chiyuv bracha on the tafel, but it's not for its individuality, and therefore certainly it doesn't require brachas hamazon, which is unique to an item of bread. Here he's not eating it for the sake of its bread, he's eating it for the sake of its supplementing the ikar. It's attaching itself to the ikar. It's aiding in the achil of the ikar. The bracha is merely for the pleasure that it provides. It loses its own uniqueness and identity. Here, certainly the bracha is not brachas hamazon. It's merely a general bracha on account of the pleasure, which this is certainly a chiyuv d'Rabbanan. And therefore, it certainly can be included in the bracha of the ikar, which is bayrei nefashis. So in conclusion, when one eats peiros genoisa, which are exceptionally sweet, he needs to supplement it with some salt, with a salty item, and on account of the excessive salt, he'll go and supplement it with some bread to protect himself from the salt harming him. So in this case, everything ultimately is tafel, is batal to the initial primary food, which is the peiros. Therefore, perhaps ordinarily bread wouldn't be considered to be a tafel to a different item on account of its chashivas and significance. But in this case, since the peiros ginoisar are so chashiv, as Rashi says, they're more chashiv than even than bread. And ultimately, everything that follows, the salty item and the bread, are there on account of the peiros ginoisar. They're there to supplement the achila of these special fruits. Therefore, they're considered to be tafel, and no bracha is required. Continues the Gemara regarding peiros ginoisar, how unique and special they were. Omar Rabba bar Barchana, ki avazlinon ba'asrei de Rabbi Yochanan. We would follow Rabbi Yochanan lemeichel peiros ginoisar, to go eat these peiros ginoisar. Ki avinan beimeya, if we were 100 of us coming together, Rabbi Yochanan, minat ktinan lei, each one would hold on to l'chol chad v'chad asara asara. Each one would be given to hold 10 of these fruits, for a total of 1,000. V'chi avinu be'asara, if we were only 10 of us, each one would be given to hold 100 of these fruits, and we would go along with Rabbi Yochanan where he would eat them. Says the Gemara, how large were they? 100 of these fruits have a machzakut tzana, can be contained in a basket, baslasa savi, which was the size of 3 sa'at. So we're dealing with a large amount of peiros ginoisar. V'achalu, and Rabbi Yochanan ate them all. V'achalu l'kulu. Umishtavan, after he finished eating this large amount of these peiros ginoisar, Umishtavan, he would swear, Delay time ziyuna, haven't tasted any food. Says, well, what do you mean? Ziyuna sakadai, I haven't tasted food? El-ema mizayna, meant to say that I haven't become full. I still have an appetite. Since these fruits were so delicious, so even when eaten in large quantities, one would still maintain his appetite. And that's what he meant. He ate all the fruit and he still said, I'm not full, indicating that they're so delicious. Says the Gemara, Bavo achal, he would eat these fruit ad avasarikle dudvamapuse, until his skin would get smooth, his face would radiate. Ad avasarikle dudva, until a fly would slip off mapuse from his forehead. His skin would become so smooth and soft that a fly would slide right off his forehead. Says the Gemara, Rav Ami, Rav Asya, Achli, they would eat up until Adanasam Hazai, until the hair would fall out. Rav Shem Malakish, Hava Achal Adamar, until it became delirious. V'Amar Rav Yochanan, the Nasi, Rav Yochanan would send a message to the house of the Nasi. V'Amashadale, Rav Yudah Nasi would send Balushi, a troop of men, Abasrei, after him, to accompany him, to escort him, and Maisei Lebesa, to bring him home. Says the Gemara, Ki Asr of Dibi. Omar, he said as follows: Ir Achas, Hoysa Leliyane HaMelech. There was a city the Yanai HaMelech had Bahar HaMelech in the region called Har HaMelech. That was so bountiful, Shemitzin Mimena. Shishim Ribui Siflei, they would need 600,000 buckets of taris, of cut tuna. This would be to be the food supply of the Koitzitze Te'enim for the fig pickers, Me'er Shabbos Lo Shabbos, from one Erev Shabbos to the other. So this would be the food provided to the multitudes of workers that came to cut the figs, to harvest the figs in 1 week. That's how plentiful, that's how much they were. Kiyasir Rabin Omar, he said, Ilan Echad Hoyle Yana Melech. Yana Melech had a tree, Bar HaMelech, in this region called Har HaMelech, Shoyu Marid Mimenu, Arboim Sa Gazoles. They would take off, they would harvest 40 sa of young pigeons, Misholish Brachos B'chodesh. Meaning that 3 times a month, 3 broods, 3 hatching periods a month, each one would produce, they would harvest, they would take off 40 sa of young pigeons. That's how plentiful, that's how bountiful it was. Kiosher of Yitzchak Omar, he said as follows: Ir Achas Ha'isab Eretz Yisrael. There was a city in Eretz Yisrael, the Gufnis Shema. The name was Gufnis Shoyaba. It contained Shmoinim Zugim, 80 pairs, Achim, of brothers, Kayhanim. So we had 80 pairs of Kayhanim brothers that were married, Nesuyim L'Shmoinim Zugais, Achayis Kahanis, married to 80 pairs of Kayhanim sisters. So 2 brothers, Kayhanim, married 2 sisters. They wanted to maintain the purity of the kahuna, of the lineage of kahuna. So they married Kayhanim, married Kahanis. Ubatku Rabbanan Misura Nardo, and the Rabbanan checked in Bavel from Surah till Nardo, and they never found this type of phenomenon. They only found Bar Mibanse de Rav Chizda. The closest they came to this type of thing was the daughters of Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda was a Kohen. So we had 2 sisters, Kahanis, that were married to 2 brothers, Davan Sivan, Dora Machama, Lamaruk Vachama, Va'afagav, the Inu Havakanta, the women were Kahanim, Inu Lo Yavakani. The men were not Kahanim. So this is as close as we came to the phenomenon, to the wondrous phenomenon in the city of Gufnis. Concludes the Gemara, Amara, Kol Suda Shein B'melach, some Agoris Ein B'maliach, a Suda meal doesn't contain something salty, Ein a Suda, it's not considered to be a full-fledged meal, a proper Suda. Amar B'chia B'rava, Amar Yechon, Kol Suda Shein B'sreif, doesn't contain soup, Ein a Suda, that too is not considered to be a proper meal. A meal is meant to contain these items. Continues the Mishnah, Ochal Anovim, one who ate grapes, Ute'enim, figs, V'rimayim, pomegranates, Mevorech Aleim Shalosh Brachos. What is the bracha achron on these items of Shivas Haminim? Shalosh Brachos, a full-fledged Birchas Hamazon. Divrei Rabbi Gamliel. V'chachamim no, bracha achas mein shalish. One need not recite Birchas Hamazon. The proper bracha is not Birchas Hamazon, but rather the bracha achas mein shalish, the single bracha that is an abridgment of the 3 brachas of Birchas Hamazon. Rakiva Omer, afilu ochal shelek v'hu mezayna, even if one eats a cooked vegetable, v'hu mezayna, he considered it to be his meal, this is his satiating meal, mevarech alav gimel brachas, he makes a Birchas Hamazon, a full-fledged Birchas Hamazon. This is considered to be a full-fledged meal and requires Birchas Hamazon. So you have 3 shittas. According to Ram Gamliel, the Shivas Aminim, even the fruit of Shivas Aminim require Birchas Hamazon. According to the Chachamim, no. They require merely a bracha achas mein shalish, the alamichya, the al-eitz, the al-gefen, as we'll see in the Gemara. Rekiva says a chiddush, even a cooked dish of vegetables, which he considers to be his primary, his meal, requires a Birchas Hamazon. Concludes the Mishnah, Hashoyse mayim letzmoi, if one drinks wine to quench his thirst, mevarach shakol ni b'dvarei, the bracha prior to drinking is shakol ni b'dvarei. Hashem created lives, lots of life, and their deficiencies, the items that they need to sustain themselves. And this is recited prior to drinking water. Says that one makes a Birchas Hamazon after eating any of the Shivas Haminim, as it says, Eretz Chita v'Sa'ira. So the pasuk lists the 7 species. Uksiv Eretz asher lo b'meskenos techeb alechem, a land that you will eat your bread not without poverty. Uksiv, and what does it say afterwards? it says one is required to make Birchas Hamazon. So we see that Birchas Hamazon is required on Shivas Haminim. Says the Rabbanon Eretz Hifsek Inyan. The Torah puts the word Eretz. The pasuk says Eretz Chita V'Soira, listing all the Shivas Haminim, and then the following pasuk says Eretz Asher Lo Yibeh Me'eskeinu Teicha B'Lechem, and then afterwards it says V'Chalta V'Savata. So the fact that the Torah interrupts with the word Eretz, that indicates that V'Chalta V'Savata or V'Irachta is not going all the way back to the Shivas Haminim, but rather only on the Lechem that is stated closer to V'Chalta V'Savata V'Irachta. Says the Gemara, what about Rav Gamliel? Rav Gamliel Nami, Eretz Hifsek Inyan. What is Rav Gamliel going to do with this argument? How can he say that V'Chalta V'Savata V'Irachta is going all the way back to the Shivas Haminim? The Torah interrupts it. The Torah makes a hefsek with the word Eretz to indicate that Shivas Haminim are in a different category. Says the Gemara, Ahumi Boile. Rav Gamliel says no, Shivas Haminim require Birchas Hamazon. Why then does the pasuk interrupt with the pasuk of Eretz Asher Lo Meskenos Teicha B'Lechem? That is to teach us that only when it comes to grains, only if it is formed into a bread, then it requires Birchas Hamazon. Let's see. How it's coming to teach us Lim'ute, to exclude Ha'Choises Es Hachita, one who choose a wheat, a stalk, a kernel of wheat. In this case, since it wasn't made into bread, it wasn't made into cereal, in this case, it certainly doesn't require Birchas Hamazon. So, according to Gamliel, Eretz Chita V'Soira, the pasuk lists the Shivas Haminim and moves on to tell us that these items require a Birchas Hamazon V'Chalta V'Savata V'Irachta. The middle pasuk that says Eretz Asher Lo Meskenos Teicha B'Lechem, the Torah teaches us that regarding grains, this bracha Birchas Hamazon will not apply unless it is formed into lechem. But that's only regarding grains. If one is koises achita, choose wheat, there's no Birchas Hamazon. However, regarding the other Shivas Haminim, like Anavim, like Te'enim, Rimonim mentioned in the Mishnah, certainly those require Birchas Hamazon. Continues the Gemara, Omar B'Yaakov Aridi, Omar B'Chanina, Kol Shu Mechameshes Haminim, anything that's made of the Chameshes Minei Dog and the 5 types of grain. But if he made a dish, a cereal of the 5 types of grain, the bracha beforehand is Boirei Minei Mezonis. Ulba'asayif, afterwards, bracha Achas Mein Shalish. One makes a bracha Achas, which is a abbreviation of the 3 brachas of Birchas Hamazon. So what are the 5 grains? That is Chita, that is Sa'ira, that is Kusmin, Shiboy, Shul, and Shifai. Wheat, barley, spelt, rye, and oat. These are all included in Chita and Sa'ira. Why? Because spelt is a min Chita, it is a type of Chita, and oat and rye are considered to be a type of barley. So they're all included in the Chita and Sa'ira that is listed in the Torah. Continues the Gemara, Amar Rav Mari Amar Shom Levi. Kol Shum is Shivas Haminim. Anything that is from the rest of the Shivas Haminim, the fruits, not the grains. What is the bracha to be recited on them? But Tchila Mavarach Bayer Preetz. O Basayif Bracha Achas Men Shalosh. He makes a Bracha Achas Men Shalosh. Says the Gemara, how exactly is the Bracha Achas Men Shalosh formulated on the Abayir of Dimi? My new Bracha Achas Men Shalosh. What is it? What is contained? What is the text of Bracha Achas Men Shalosh? Amalei says it depends. A period dates on fruit, on tree fruit, on figs, dates, etc. The bracha is ala eitz al plureitz. We thank Hashem for the tree and the fruit of the tree, valtumas hasada, the produce from the field, val eretz chem the terechava, on the eretz, the land, chem the desirable, good and spacious, shin chat lavaseni, you've inherited to our parents, le'echal and perya, for us to partake and eat from its fruit, with zbah mituva, to satiate from its goodness. Rachem Hashem Elokeinu, Yisrael Amecha, Hashem have mercy on Kal Yisrael, Vayishlayim Yirecha, and Yisir Yishlayim, V'al G'ashecha, V'al Yizbechecha, on Yizbech, V'sivne Yishalayim Yirkotchecha, you should rebuild Yishalayim, you should build Yishalayim Yirkotchecha, Mer B'yameinu, speedily nowadays, V'aleinu Seicha, and you should bring us up there, V'samchenu, gladden us there, Ki Ata, because you are Toiv, you're good umetiv, and you exude goodness, L'koil to all. So this bracha is considered to be Me'ein Shlolish. Why? Because it contains a reference. It's an abridged version of Birchas Hamazon. It contains Birchas Hazan, which is the beginning of the Me'ein Shlolish, thanking Hashem, making reference to the food that Hashem provides. That is the essence of the first bracha, Birchas Hamazon. Then we proceed to thank Hashem for giving us the land. This is Keneged. This is a correspondence to the second bracha, Birchas Hamazon of Noidelecha. And then Rachem Hashem Elokeinu. This corresponds to the third bracha of Rachem Hashem Elokeinu and B'nai Yerushalayim Amen. And we conclude Ki Ata Tovim Heitiv. This is Keneged the Birchas HaTovim Heitiv, the fourth bracha of Birchas Hamazon. Why do we consider it to be a bracha Achas Mein Shalish if it really contains elements of awful brachas? Say the Mefarshim, because Tovim Heitiv, the fourth bracha of Birchas Hamazon, is merely Midrabanan. Therefore, we refer to the bracha Achas as Brachos Mein Shalish to reference the three brachas min ha-Torah of Birchas Hamazon. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so this is the bracha on fruit. What about the chameshes haminim on the 5 grains? What is the bracha achrona, the bracha mein shalosh? As the Gemara al michya val kalkala, thanking Hashem for the michya, for the livelihood, val kalkala, for the sustenance, val tuvas hasada, etc. V'choisem, he concludes, ala oretz val michya, thanking Hashem for giving us the land and the sustenance and the livelihood. Okay. Continues the Gemara, Michtam b'may chasim. How is one meant to conclude on the Allah Eitz V'Pareitz? Ki Otzar Abdimi Amar, he said, Rav Chasim b'Rosh Chodesh Baruch Mekadesh Yisrael V'Rosh Chodashim. On Rosh Chodesh, Rav would conclude with the following nusach: Mekadesh Yisrael V'Rosh Chodashim. This is by tefillah, by davening. Now, although one is not meant to lump up, to bunch up two topics within one conclusion, within one chasima, however, Rav would attach these two items, Mekadesh Yisrael, V'Rosh Chodashim. Why? Because they're really integrally one item. Hashem, who sanctifies Yisrael, who established the Rosh Chodashim. So it's really one topic, and therefore it's not considered to be bunching together two items. Hachamai, what about over here? Can one conclude that the bracha with Hala Eretz Vala Peres, thanking Hashem for the land and the fruit, is that considered to be one topic, one item? Or is it considered to be two separate items? Says the Gemara, no, it's not a problem. Rav Chizda Amar La'aretz Val Peresel, thanking Hashem for the land and its fruit. Rav Yechon Amar La'aretz Val Peres, on the land and the fruit. So apparently, these two things, land and fruit, are interconnected and very much related to each other. We're thanking Hashem for the land that produces the fruit. Therefore, this is a proper chasima, a proper conclusion. But in any case, we have a difference here between Rav Chizda's text of Al Ha'aretz Val Pereseh Ha, the land and its fruit, whereas Rav Yochanan used to say Al Ha'aretz Val Peres, the land and the fruit. How do we understand this discrepancy? Says the Gemara of Amram, it's not a machlekes at all. It depends where they were located. Holon Valahu. In Bavel they would say Al Ha'aretz Val Pereseh Ha, thanking Hashem for the land and its fruit, because they were far away from Eretz Yisrael. Halahu, in Eretz Yisrael, if they were located in Eretz Yisrael, the proper nusach was Al Ha'aretz Val Peres, on the land and the fruit, because they're situated in Eretz Yisrael, and that's why Rav Yechon said Al Ha'aretz Val Peres, and Rav Chizda said Al Ha'aretz Val Peres Seha, its fruit, referring to Eretz Yisrael. Says the Gemara, how does that make sense? Maskal Rav Nachman Yitzchak, Inu Achli Vanan Mevarchen. We were sitting in Bavel, and we're thanking Hashem for the fruit that the people in Eretz Yisrael are eating. Why should we say Al Ha'aretz Val Peres Seha, referring to the fruit of Eretz Yisrael? We're not eating those fruits. We're in Chutz La'aretz. Ella Eifuch. He must reverse it and say as follows: Rav Chizda, who was in Chutz La'aretz Uzum Bavel, he said Al Ha'aretz Val Peres, on the land and the fruit, meaning the land of Eretz Yisrael, the entire land of the whole world, and the fruit of the whole world. Rav Yechon, who was in Eretz Yisrael, he would say Al Ha'aretz Val Peres Seha, thank Hashem for the land of Eretz Yisrael and its fruit, because he indeed was eating Peretz Eretz Yisrael. So, in summary, what is the bracha achrona recited on Shiva Saminim? We have machlekes. According to Rav Gamliel, one is meant to recite Birchas Hamazon on all the Shiva Saminim, unless he's chewing a chita. According to the Chachamim, it depends. On bread made of the chameshes minei dagan, the bracha is Birchas Hamazon. On a cooked cereal, a hafshel of dagan, the bracha achrona is Ala Michya, bracha Achas Ben Shalish. On the fruit, bracha is Ala Eitz. Taisus adds another bracha. On wine, the proper bracha on wine is Ala Gefen Val Priya Gefen. In fact, Taisus says if one eats all the items together, he eats a baked item with a fruit, with wine, he's meant to bunch them all together and say one big bracha, which includes everything. He's meant to say ala micha val kakola, val hagefen pri hagefen, val eitz val pri eitz. Finally, Rav Akiva says, even if one merely eats shelek, a cooked vegetable dish, v'hu mezayna, he considers it to be his meal. It's coming to satiate and to provide a mazain. The bracha on that is birchas hamazon. Continues the Gemara. Omar Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi Mishra Rabbeinu. Al habeya on an egg, valmine kurfra on various types of meat. Betchila mevarach shakol. We make a shakol before and do basoif burn nefashis rabbis. Only on eggs or meat. They're significant. They're chashav to require bracha achrona. However, al yarka on vegetables like no bracha achrona is required. It's not chashav enough. So that is his shita. Rav Yitzchak Amar afilu yarka. Even vegetables require a bracha achrona, burn nefashis rabbis. Avol maya, but water, light. Only items of food require bracha achrona, not maya, which is merely a drink, merely a liquid. Rav Papa Amar, third shita, afilu maya, even water requires a bracha achrona. Continues the Gemara, Mazutra, Ovet Kravitzu Ardimi. He followed the opinion of Ravitzu Ardimi, the first opinion, and only required bracha achrona on eggs, on meat. Rav Sim bar Rashi, he did Ovet Krav Yitzchak. He followed the shita of Yitzchak that even vegetables require bracha achrona. Says Rav Simonach, to give you a simon, to assign so you remember who did what. Chad ketrei v'trei kechad. The shita that is mentioned in a singular name, Mazutra, he's mentioned on his own without his father's name. He did in accordance to the shita of Trey, like the man the Omar that had his name and his father's name mentioned. Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Utrei, the Amir was mentioned with a double name, his name and his father's name, which is Rav Simi bar Ashi. He did Kechad, he followed the opinion of Chad, of the one that was mentioned on his own, which is Rav Yitzchak. Continues the Gemara, Rav Ashi, Ano, I conduct myself in the following manner. Zimna, the Chimat Karna, when I would remember, Avidna Kechulu, I followed everybody, even Rav Papa's opinion, and I would make a bracha achrona even on water. The Mepharshim speak out, why did he only do so when he remembered? Apparently, he held that it wasn't an obligation, it was a good custom, a minhag, and therefore when he remembered, he followed this minhag. Continues the Gemara, Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Kol sheton bracha la'achrav, ton bracha lefanav. Anything that requires a bracha achrona certainly requires a bracha rishona. V'yesh, however, there are some things that sheton bracha lefanav, that although it needs a bracha beforehand, ve'en ton bracha la'achrav, but does not require bracha afterwards. Explains the Gemara. Bishloim Ravitzu Ardimi. It's all well according to the shita of Ravitzu Ardimi, who says that only meat, only eggs require bracha achrona, but vegetables, although it requires a bracha rishona, but not a bracha achrona. So the Mishnah, when the Mishnah says v'yei sheton bracha lefanav, there are some things that require a bracha before and not afterwards. We're speaking about vegetables, not fuki yarka, to exclude vegetables who don't need a bracha achrona. The Rav Yitzchak, according to the shita of Yitzchak, it's coming to exclude water that only require bracha before and not afterwards. Ela l'Rav Papa, but according to the shita of Rav Papa, that all items require bracha achrona. La'afuki mai. What is the Mishnah coming to exclude? Everything requires a bracha achrona. The Mishnah tells us there are some things that require bracha before and not afterwards. What is the Mishnah referring to? Everything needs a bracha achrona. Says the Gemara, la'afuki mitzvahs. It's coming to exclude mitzvahs. One performs a mitzvah. For instance, wearing tzitzis, blowing a shofar, shaking lulav. When he completes the mitzvah, no bracha is required, although a bracha is required before fulfilling the mitzvah. So that is what the Mishnah is coming to exclude, mitzvahs. Says the Gemara of Bnei Ma'arava. However, according to the Bnei Ma'arava, the basar the mesalget filayu, when they removed their tefillin, after they were mesalget that tefillin, they would make a bracha, mevarchi asher kitchanu b'mitzvahs tzivanu lishmer chukav, to comply with Hashem's decrees. As Tais explains that they held that at night one is not meant to wear tefillin. Laila lavazman tefillin. Therefore, one is required to comply with the decree to remove his tefillin when night time comes. Therefore, they held that a bracha is appropriate. Hashem who commanded us to comply with his chukim and to remove the tefillin at the appropriate time. We don't do that because by us, we don't hold of the shita that Laila lavazman tefillin, and therefore this bracha we do not follow. However, they who recited this bracha after they removed the tefillin, if so, we find that even a mitzvah requires a bracha afterwards. So now, what is the Mishnah referring to when it says that there are items that require bracha before and not after. It can't be referring to mitzvahs because tefillin requires bracha even after performing the mitzvah. La'afuki mai, what does it come to exclude? It's la'afuki reichni. It's come to exclude a good smell, a fragrance, a reyach, although it requires a bracha beforehand, but not afterwards, because it's not significant enough pleasure. The Mepharshim say a person could smell and not get full, as opposed to eating, which he needs to stop at a certain point. Therefore, we see that reyach is not such a tangible thing, and therefore there's no requirement to make a bracha afterwards. It doesn't satiate you, it doesn't fill you, and therefore bracha achroina is not applicable. So, in conclusion, what is the halacha regarding bracha achroina? According to the Shita of Rav Yitzchak Ardimi, only beitza basar requires a bracha achroina, according to Rav Yitzchak. Yarek as well, according to Rav Papa. Even mayim requires, and according to the name Arava, when one removes this tefillin, he would make a bracha, asher k'chalom mitzvayis tzvanu, lishmar chukav. The Gemara said that Mazutra follows the opinion of Rav Yitzchak Ardimi. Rav Tzim Bar Ashi followed the opinion of Rav Yitzchak. And Rav Ashi, finally, the Gemara says, when I remember, I try to follow everybody's opinion and make a bracha achroina, even on water. Continues the Gemara, Omar Rav Yanai, Omar Rav Zera, Kol shu kebetza, any type of food, the size, the volume of a beitza of an egg, when we compare its health benefits to the actual egg, beitza toivim menu, the actual egg is more beneficial to one's health than any other food of that volume. Kiyasu Ravin came, he said, Omar, Tava beyasa megulgolta, a partially roasted egg that is still in liquid form, that is better than mishita, than 6 kaisi, 6 containers which contain a lug each, 6 of these containers containing sulta flour. Kiyasu Rav Dimi Omar explained, Tava beyasa megulgolta mishita, it is better, a partially roasted egg is better than 6 of these containers. However, matvisa, if it's fully roasted, then it goes down a bit in value, and it's only better, me'ar, but better than 4 containers of flour. Mivushalta, if it's cooked in water, then it goes even down, even lower. Koshu kebeta, on that is applied the phrase that any food that has a volume of a beitza of an egg, when compared to this beitza, this cooked egg, beitza tovim menu, this egg is better. So it doesn't have the same value and same health benefits as the roasted ones, but nevertheless it's better than any other food. Levar bisra, it's better than all other foods except for meat. So apparently eggs and meat are beneficial to one's health, and perhaps this explains the reasoning behind Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Avdimi up on the top of the Amud, who said that only on these 2 items one recites a bar nefashos, perhaps because of their added significance. Continues the Gemara, Kiva Omer, Afilu Achal Shelek Vumazoyin, even if one merely eats a cooked dish of vegetables, and this is his mazayin, his sustenance, his meal, he makes a brachos hamazon. Says the Gemara, can that be so? Umika midi, is there such a thing to have a shelek mazoyini, that cooked vegetable is considered to be mazayin? Amar Rashi, yes. Bekelach shel kruv shana. We're speaking about the stalk of cabbage, which is filling, which can be considered to be mazayin. Continues the Gemara with a brisa, a list of health benefit tips. Tana Rabbana, tchoil, a spleen, yafil lishnayim. One eats spleen, it is beneficial to one's teeth. The koshav ne'me'ayim, but it is harmful for the intestines. Creation leaks. Koshav lishnayim are harmful for the teeth. The yafil ne'me'ayim are beneficial for the intestines. Kol yorok chai, all raw vegetables, moirik, it pales one's appearance, one's countenance. V'chol katan maktin, anything small impedes one's growth. If one eats something which isn't fully ripe, fully grown, it impedes his growth. V'chol nefesh, all life, meshav es nefesh, revitalizes life, returns life. Rashi says this is referring to something which was alive and is eaten as is. Shalem, for instance, Rashi says small fish which are fully grown, they're fully developed, they only grow to this size, like sardines, etc. So if he eats it, it's eaten as is. Shalem. This is what the Brachos is referring to. Kol nefesh meishav es nefesh. This revitalizes, restores one's life. The chol karav nefesh. Anything that's found close to the source of life, the Gemara will explain. Meishav es nefesh. It restores life. Kruv l'mazayin. Cabbage is meant as mazayin. Utrodin. Beets are meant l'refuah, for health purposes, as a cure. Oiloi lebayis. Woe to the bayis, to the stomach. Shalefes, that turnips, averes b'soichai, that a turnip passes through it. A turnip is harmful. Omar, we learned Tchoil, a spleen, Yafel Shnayim is good for the teeth, because I'm bad for the intestines. Maita Kante, so how can he derive the benefit without the side effects? Says the Gemara, he chews it, so his teeth derive the benefit, but then he spits it out, and he doesn't take it into his intestines. Creation, leaks, Koshan Shnayim are bad for the teeth, Yafel Shnayim are good for the intestines. Maita Kante, how should he go and eat these creation, if they're bad for the teeth? Says Gemara, l'shlekinu, he should cook them and get them really soft, overcook them so he doesn't need to chew them. And then he'll swallow it, so he has the benefits for his neima'ayim without affecting his teeth. Kol yorok chai moirik, all raw vegetables, pale one's countenance, one's appearance. Or Rabbi Yitzchak, this is only said besuda rishayna shlach harkos, only the first meal after bloodletting. V'amar Rabbi Yitzchak, another halacha, kol oichel yorok koydem arbashoyis, one who eats raw vegetables before 4 hours in a day, which are generally the meal time. So one who eats the vegetables before his meal on an empty stomach, asol esapeh imenu, you may not speak with and converse with this person. Why? My time mishum reicha, on account of the bad odor that emanates from the vegetables that are eaten on an empty stomach. V'amar Rabbi Yitzchak, another thing, asol la'adam sheichel yorok chai koydem arbashoyis, one may not eat raw vegetables on an empty stomach. So he taught us two halachas. Don't eat vegetables on an empty stomach, and one who has done so, don't converse with him, because the odor emanating from that person on account of him having eaten the vegetables on his empty stomach is harmful to the other person's empty stomach. Says the Gemara the following story. Ameimah Marzucha Ravashi, Havayasvi, they were sitting, they were served raw vegetables before they ate, before Arbashois. Ameimah Ravashi, Ochel, they ate, even though it was an empty stomach. He refrained from eating, since he didn't want to eat the vegetables on an empty stomach. Amar Leis, they turned to him and they said, "My daitach, what is the reason for your conduct?" Because of Rabbi Yitzchak, right? Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, one who eats raw vegetables on an empty stomach, one may not converse with him on account of the bad odor. If so, v'hanan the kachlinon, we have eaten the raw vegetables on an empty stomach, become a shtayz, but then you converse with us. So if you hold the Rabbi Yitzchak, why don't you refrain also from conversing with us? Just as you refrain from eating the vegetables on an empty stomach, you should not speak to us on account of the odor. Amar Louis, he told them, he responded as follows. I only hold of the other halacha of Rabbi Yitzchak. One is not meant to eat raw vegetables on an empty stomach. So that I comply with, that I agree with. The other saying of Rabbi Yitzchak that says that you may not converse with one who has done so, with one who has eaten the raw vegetables on an empty stomach, that I don't agree with, therefore I refrain from eating on an empty stomach. But I'll still converse with you, despite the fact that you have not complied with that. Continues the Gemara. Kol katan maktin, anything that is small, that hasn't grown to its full size, it impedes one's growth if he eats it. Even a small goat, a kid, which is fatty and expensive, it costs a zuz. Nevertheless, since it's still small, hasn't fully grown, so it's still considered to be a katan, and one should not eat it. This is only a concern elder lesbe river. If it hasn't grown to at least a quarter of its future size, aval isbe river. But if the animal has come to a quarter of its full mature size, less than is not a concern. That is not considered to be kol katan maktin. Kol nefesh, meshiv nefesh. The Brachos told us anything with life restores life. Amar Papa, afilu gildini devegili. Even those little fish that swim around in the swamps near the reeds, the vegili, they too are considered to be kol nefesh, meshiv nefesh, even though they're very small. But nevertheless, since they're grown to their full size, this is the size that they grow to. Therefore, it's not considered to be kol katan maktin, but rather kol nefesh, meshiv nefesh. Kol akor, the Brachos told us, kol akor of the nefesh, anything close to the source of life, meshiv nefesh, restores life. Amar Bar Yaakov is referring to unka. It's referring to the meat by the neck of the animal, which is where the makam hashchita is, where the dam hanefesh flows out. It's considered to be close to the life of the animal. Amar le Rav l'shami, ki ma'asis li umtza devirsa. When you go get from me a piece of meat, Torach, trouble yourself to bring me the mikrav, bring me the meat from where it is close, the mikrav lebei baruch, which is close to the bracha, the place where they shecht and they make the bracha al shchita. That's where you should get the meat from. Continue the brayso. Kruv l'mazayin, cabbage is for satiation, for a meal, for mazayin. Utraden l'refuah, beets are meant as a cure. So that implies that cabbage is not meant for refuah. Says the Gemara, kruv l'mazayin is cabbage for mazayin l'refuah loy, but not meant as a refuah. We learned otherwise. V'atanya, we learned shisha dvarim. There are 6 items. Merapen es ha'cholim echoliyoi. They cure the sick person from his sickness. Urfos refuah, and their effect is permanent. Their refuah, their cure is permanent. Ve'ilhuin, these are 6 items. Kruv, cabbage, utradin, beets, sisin, the soup from this plant called sisin. V'keva, this is one of the stomachs of the animal. V'haras, the womb of the animal. V'yerseres ha'koved, the diaphragm. So the Brisa lists kruv as something which provides a cure. Elo, you must say, emo, you must say as follows. Kruv afla mazin. Kruv not only does it have the power to cure, but also it is considered to be mazin. The last item in the Brisa was woe to the home, to the stomach, that the turnip passes through it, because it's harmful. Says Gemara, is it really harmful? Didn't Rava tell a servant, when you notice turnips out in the market, don't turn to me and say, but my karchas rifta, what are you going to eat your bread with? Meaning, you should automatically assume that it would like to have the turnips. So we see that it is not harmful at all. Amar Abaye, it depends. On its own, it can be mazak, it's harmful. Bli basar means on its own. If it wasn't cooked together with meat, because when it's cooked with meat, the meat blunts its power, it weakens its effect, and removes its harmful effect. If one eats the turnips without drinking wine afterwards, that's harmful. But if one ensures to drink wine afterwards, then that's okay. Itma, we learned, without meat, without overcooking it with lots of wood. If you overcook the turnips, that also removes its harmful effect. If one doesn't drink wine afterwards, that's a problem. But if he drinks the wine, then that removes its harmful effect. Suddenly, Rav Papa was a beer maker. So Rav Papa turned to him and he said, Rav turned to Rav Papa and he said, Suddenly, you beer maker, anan by us tavrin leibe bisar v'chamra. We break its power, its harmful effect with the meat, with the wine. But you atun deloina fishlucha chamra. You used to brew beer with dates, so they weren't accustomed to drinking. They don't have lots of wine. So how do you break the effect? How do you deal with the turnips? But my tabrislo, how do you break it? How do you break the effect? We use lots of wood, we overcook it, and that takes away the harmful effect of the turnips. As the Gemara says, like this, the Visud Rav Papa, the wife of Rav Papa, Basud the Mabashla, after she cooked it, then she went ahead and she cooked it again. Taverla, she broke its power, Bitamnan with 80 ufer prasyaiso, with 10 large pieces of wood. By cooking it, this took away its harmful effect, and then it was fit to be eaten. Tan Rabban in the Brisa, dog kata maliach, a small salted fish, pa'am shu meimis. Occasionally, it can cause one death if he eats it. When? B'shiva on the 7th day of its being salted, B'shiva asar on the 17th day, or B'eser b'shiva on 27th day, V'amar some say B'eser b'shloisha on 23rd day. V'lo yamar, this is only a concern, el b'matvi l'matvi, if it's partially roasted, ava matvi shapir, but if it's fully roasted, less lamad, it's not a concern, even during those days. Or the loy matvi shapir, and even if it's not really fully roasted, lo yamar, the concern is only el l'shasa basri sheichar, if he hadn't added beer afterwards. Aval shasa basri sheichra, but if he ensures and he makes sure to drink beer afterwards, less lamba, that's not a concern, because the harmful effect will no longer affect him.